Hey everyone, it's Saturday, March 19th. The time is 5:15 p.m. and the temperature is around 6 degrees Celsius. And I'm here on King Street East. And there's a 504/505 replacement bus. And this here is Parliament Street. And that's where people would have gotten off the streetcar and transferred over to the bus. And there's a look north up Parliament. And for this one, I'm going to take a walk around the Corktown neighborhood. So this area is on the southeast corner of downtown. Not sure why that guy spun around and walked backwards. And Corktown is a rather small neighborhood. It's bordered to the west here by Parliament Street, and to the south by Front and Eastern Avenue, and to the east by River Street, and to the north Queen Street. All those would be the rough boundaries of the neighborhood. And there is 51 Division of the Toronto Police. And this is Derby Street. And this is an area I've explored many times, but I've never been on Derby Street before. There's an interesting car. It's hard to disagree with those sentiments. And there's the oldest church in the city, Trinity Church. And this is the back of the old Enoch Turner Schoolhouse, which is currently a museum, and it's the oldest surviving schoolhouse in the city. Museum and special events venue. And that schoolhouse dates back to 1849. And that is the Distillery District to the south of here. And I mentioned Corktown's a rather small neighborhood. I think the population is somewhere around 3,000. And on my way over, I looked up some basic stats. Apparently the median age here is around 35. And 47% of the population are married couples. 20% are families with kids. And it's mostly a fairly low density residential area. And this here is Eastern Avenue. And you can see the sign, Old Town Toronto, Corktown. There are a lot of older industrial and commercial buildings in the area as well. And it's not uncommon to find movie and TV sets in the area. I think there's a big condo going in on that lot. It was raining earlier when I left my house, or rather, my apartment. But it just let up as I was getting off the streetcar. There's the Inglenook Community High School. And that area over there is known as the Canary District. And to the south, this is Cherry Street. And to the north is Sumach Street. Welcome to the future home of the Reiki Center's a non-profit long-term care home. And there goes a 504 King streetcar. There's another look over at the old schoolhouse. And that's a look west towards the financial district. And maybe someone can explain this to me in the comments, but this is Sumach Street heading north. And the next street over is also Sumach Street. Although this part doesn't seem to be connected to the other Sumach. And it's just a block or so. It's also where the Cube House is located. And I think that was built back in 1996. It's definitely one of the more interesting structures in the city. And the gentleman who designed it is from Ottawa. And there's currently plans to build a condo that features affordable housing on that lot. And there you can see some of the older Victorian style houses. So this would have been the south end of the Cabbagetown neighborhood about 100 years ago, and there's some worker style row houses right next to them. So there we have the two Sumach streets, And here we have two Eastern Avenues. On the left here is Eastern Avenue, but also this part on the right is called Eastern Avenue. And just getting back to the Cube House, there might be plans to relocate it. I'm not really sure. There are residential tenants in those units. And as I mentioned, on the right is the Canary District. And there is the Dominion Foundry. And that site dates back to 1917. And in 2020, the province of Ontario rolled in a bunch of bulldozers, despite the area having heritage status, as designated by the City of Toronto. And there was quite an uproar, and the city and a lot of the local residents and associations pushed back. And the province's plans were to completely demolish it, and there was an injunction put in and a court order. And eventually it was agreed that they would save most of these structures, and they'll be incorporated into a new development, and that too will feature a rather large number of affordable housing units. I don't think people were too happy about the province's actions when that happened in 2020. There was a bit of an uproar. And you'll notice a lot of off and on ramps here. A lot of Corktown was demolished to put these in. This is Eastern Avenue, and it's also where Adelaide Street and Richmond Street merge onto Eastern Avenue. And we're here at Underpass Park. So this here is north, up the west side of Lower River Street, and north of King up ahead, it just becomes River Street. There's a large park just to the south of here, Corktown Commons. And Corktown gets its name from the settlers here in the early 19th century, mostly from Cork County in Ireland. here's where King and Queen Street merge. That's the Don River just ahead there. And that's when you'd be leaving downtown. And here's a Gears bike store. I think they originally had a location in Port Credit in Mississauga. It was right around the corner from where I grew up. And this stretch along King Street here will take you through the heart of Corktown. But I'm going to head up to Queen, which is just a block to the north of here. There's the Toronto Humane Society. That was slightly dangerous. And there's a Queen streetcar. I'll be heading all the way to Neville Park. And that's in the Beaches neighborhood. And there's a 501B streetcar. That'll be heading up to Broadview Station. Or streetcar, it's a bus. With today's weather being kind of gloomy, I decided to do more of a neighborhood tour. In the busier part of downtown, since they weren't that busy today. You can see a lot of the older English-style row homes that are quite prominent in Corktown. And just to the north of here is the Regent Park neighborhood. These are certainly not some of the older homes. And there's the old Dominion Hotel. Which now features a bar on the ground floor. And this is Sumach Street. So I'm going to go south back to King. And I'm going to head over to a really neat little residential street. One that I've only covered once before on this channel, and that was on a live stream I did a few months ago. This here is the Magic Building. And I don't know the story behind this. And despite the east side of downtown having a bit of a reputation for higher crime, which I'm not sure is necessarily warranted, as Corktown has a lower than average crime rate in terms of both property and violent crime in the city. All right, so I'm gonna head up Bright Street, which is coming up. There's some really neat older homes on that street. And there's where Richmond Street and Adelaide Street merge with Eastern Avenue. I follow that ramp there. So a lot of the neighborhood was bulldozed to make way for that connection. And some of these homes seem to be leaning back and rather tilted. I bet that's an old worker's cottage. A lot of the original settlers in this neighborhood from Ireland worked at breweries, and I think there were various brickworks companies in the area as well that employed them. So it was very much a working class neighborhood. There's the Bright Street playground. There's a new structure going in on that lot. There is VizTech. And they've got a lot of neat camera and production gear in there. When I bought my editing software, DaVinci Resolve Studio, even though it's a digital purchase online, they work with local retailers. So one of the options I had to purchase it would have actually been through VizTech there. It's kind of neat how they do that. And I think that's just them building goodwill with physical retailers, as the company that makes that editing software also has a rather expensive line of cameras. So I think it's more important that they build the relationship with their retailers and take all the profits off their editing software themselves. So this is Queen Street East. And this here is St. Paul Street. I think I can loop down here and come back up to Queen. That is Ray Lane. There's some solar panels on the roof there. This home here really seems to be leaning back. There's some more cottage style homes. There is St. Paul's School. And I think that's right next to the oldest Roman Catholic church in the city. It's a really interesting mix of architecture here. I would say that looks like it was built probably around the 70s. And these homes would be over 100 years. Or rather 100 years old, and they look like a lot of other homes you'll see throughout Cabbagetown. There's the Good Shepherd Ministries center there. I think that's a homeless shelter. And there's a look at St. Paul's. St. Paul's Basilica Parish. And there's the Wimpy's across the street. You don't see a whole lot of those anymore. Although it doesn't appear to be open, but the Shisha Lounge up top is. And this is Parliament Street. So I'll turn left here. I just loop back down to about where I started. And it looks like there's a couple of buildings planned for this lot where Shoppers Drug Mart is. 16 and 29 stories. to grab a look north there, but the streetcar was kind of blocking it. So I'm just going to head south down to King Street where I'll hop on a bus. Speaking of which, when I got off the subway at King Station to hop on the streetcar, I had to wait about 18 minutes, which is a very long wait for a streetcar in that line. I checked the app, and then there wasn't another streetcar for another 20 minutes after that. And then the next one was just a minute after that. So I guess the TTC's frequency game isn't very good right now. And also they had closed line 1. I think it's closed between Lawrence Station and St. Clair Station, so I had to take a shuttle bus down. It's only the 10 millionth time they've done that in recent years. And since gas prices are a hot topic, there we go, $1.69.9 at the Shell at Parliament and Richmond. So this is Richmond Street, and then next up will be Adelaide and then King, which is right where I started this. It has started to rain lightly once again. I'm just going to leave the umbrella in my backpack. There's an e-bike that looks just like mine. And this is Adelaide Street East. I have some friends who rented a unit in that building. And according to them, it's quite noisy, and there's often problems with the elevators. And they've had several fire alarms go off. I think those are all common themes in a lot of the newer builds in the city. In the last video I recorded, I took the 65 Parliament bus up to Castle Frank Station. I think that's a high-end furniture shop I just walked past. And the lack of people waiting for the bus there is not a good sign. But we're here right where I started this all. So I hope you enjoyed this one. I explored the Corktown neighborhood. Let me know your thoughts and comments down below. And if you wish to support the channel, there's links to my Patreon and YouTube channel membership in the description. And I have an Instagram account at Johnny Strides. All right, thanks for watching, and I will catch you on the next one.